Marcus Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead as he walked through the busy market district of Station Kepler 7. His daughter Emma skipped beside him, her small hand gripping his tightly. The station was always crowded on market days, filled with aliens of every shape and size imaginable. "Daddy, can we get those sparkle candies?" Emma pointed to a vendor selling colorful treats that glowed softly in the dim station lighting. "Maybe on the way back, sweetheart," Marcus replied with a tired smile. He had just finished a 12-hour shift fixing the station's air filtration system. All he wanted was to grab some groceries and go home. The market was loud with different languages and sounds. Marcus had lived on the station for 3 years now, ever since his wife Sarah died in the cargo bay accident. He chose this remote posting to start fresh, away from Earth and all its painful memories. Here he could focus on being a good father to Emma and doing his engineering work. As they walked past a row of food stalls, Marcus heard a sound that made him stop. It was crying. Not just any crying, but the scared, helpless crying of children in trouble. He turned toward the sound and saw them in a narrow space between 2 market stalls. 2 small alien girls, maybe 6 or 7 years old in human terms, were pressed against the wall. Their skin was a light purple color, and they had strange, glowing markings on their faces that pulsed with fear. Standing over them was a much bigger alien teenager, a Krolvian by the looks of it, with rough gray skin and 4 arms. "Give me those tokens, you little royals," the Krolvian growled, shoving one of the girls hard. She stumbled and nearly fell. Marcus felt his jaw tighten. Around him, other shoppers walked past, deliberately looking away. He knew why. There was an unwritten rule on the station. You did not interfere in conflicts between other species. It caused too many problems, too many diplomatic incidents. Every species had their own ways of handling things. But Marcus had never been good at following rules when kids were in danger. "Emma, stay right here," he said firmly, positioning his daughter behind a fruit stand. "Don't move." "Daddy?" Emma's voice was worried, but she nodded. Marcus walked toward the narrow space with deliberate steps. His work boots made heavy sounds on the metal floor. The Krolvian was reaching for one of the crying girls when Marcus spoke. "Hey, leave them alone." The Krolvian spun around, surprised. He was tall, maybe 7 feet, but Marcus stood at 6'3" and had the solid build of someone who worked with heavy machinery. The teenager's 4 eyes looked Marcus up and down. "This is not your business, human," the Krolvian spat. "Walk away." "Can't do that," Marcus said calmly. He moved closer, placing himself directly between the bully and the 2 frightened girls. "You're going to leave these kids alone and walk away. Right now." The Krolvian's face twisted with anger. "Do you know who these brats belong to? You're making a mistake, human." "The only mistake here is you picking on children half your size," Marcus replied. His voice was steady, but his muscles were tense, ready to move if needed. "I'm giving you one chance to walk away with your dignity. Take it." For a long moment, the Krolvian stared at him. Marcus stared back, unflinching. He had learned long ago that bullies usually backed down when someone stood up to them. Usually. Finally, the Krolvian made a disgusted sound. "This isn't over. When the family finds out a human touched their business, you'll regret this." He turned and stomped away into the crowd, his 4 arms swinging with anger. Marcus let out a breath he did not know he was holding. He turned to the 2 small girls, who were still pressed against the wall, their glowing markings now pulsing a soft blue color instead of the frightened red. "Hey, it's okay now," Marcus said gently, crouching down to their level. "He's gone. Are you 2 hurt?" The girls looked at each other, then at Marcus. They seemed shocked that he had helped them. One of them, slightly braver than the other, stepped forward. You helped us," she said in heavily accented Universal Standard. "Why?" Marcus smiled softly. Because you needed help. Are you lost? Where's your mom or dad? Our guardian, the other girl said quietly. We were with our guardian, but we saw something shiny, and we ran ahead, and then we got lost. And then that mean person found us and... Okay, Marcus said calmly. Let's find your guardian. What do they look like? Before the girls could answer, a tall alien in dark armor appeared, moving fast through the crowd. The alien was humanoid, but with sleek silver skin and intense golden eyes. When the alien saw the two girls with Marcus, those eyes went very wide. Princesses! The alien guard gasped, rushing forward. Then the guard stopped, staring at Marcus with confusion and something that looked like shock. You, a human, you're with them. I just helped them, Marcus said, standing up. Some Krolvian kid was bullying them. They said they got separated from you. The guard looked like someone had just told them the sky was green. For several long seconds, the guard just stared at Marcus, then at the girls, then back at Marcus. You intervened, the guard said slowly. You protected them. Yeah, well, I couldn't just walk past kids in trouble, Marcus replied with a shrug. You should probably keep a better eye on them, though. Station's not always safe. The guard's expression shifted to something Marcus could not quite read. Respect? Fear? Disbelief? Thank you, human, the guard said formally, placing a fist over their chest in some kind of salute. Your service will be remembered. Come, princesses. The two girls waved at Marcus as the guard hurried them away, surrounding them with a protective stance. Marcus watched them go, feeling a bit confused by the whole interaction. Princesses? That was probably just a nickname or term of endearment in their culture. Emma ran up to him, grabbing his hand again. Daddy, that was so cool! You were like a superhero! Marcus laughed and ruffled her hair. Just doing the right thing, kiddo. Come on, let's get those groceries. As they walked away, Marcus did not notice the security cameras that had recorded everything. He did not see the multiple observers who had watched the whole scene with wide eyes. He did not know that in a private suite on the upper levels of the station, a very important person was already being notified of what had just happened. All Marcus knew was that he had helped two scared kids, and now he could go home and make dinner for Emma. It was just another day on Station Kepler 7. Or so he thought. 3 days passed quietly. Marcus went to work, fixed broken systems, and came home to Emma every evening. He had almost forgotten about the incident in the market. Almost. On the 3rd day, as he was finishing his shift in the engineering bay, his communicator beeped. It was an official message from station administration. Marcus frowned as he read it. Engineer Chen, your presence is requested in the diplomatic quarter, Suite 7A, at 1800 hours today. Attendance is mandatory. Transportation will be provided. Marcus stared at the message. The diplomatic quarter? He had never been there. That was where ambassadors and important aliens stayed, not regular engineers like him. Had he done something wrong? Was this about the market incident? Maybe he had broken some law he did not know about. Worried, he picked up Emma from school early and took her to Mrs. Kahara, their neighbor. I have to go to some meeting, he explained. Might be a few hours. At exactly 6 o'clock, a sleek transport arrived at his quarters. The driver was another armored alien, similar to the guard he had seen in the market. The alien said nothing, just gestured for Marcus to get in. The ride through the station was short but tense. Marcus tried to stay calm. Whatever this was, he would handle it. The transport stopped at a section of the station Marcus had only seen from a distance. Everything here was cleaner, fancier. Guards stood at every corner. The driver led him to a large door marked Suite 7A. The door slid open automatically. Marcus stepped inside and stopped, amazed. The suite was huge, decorated with beautiful fabrics and glowing crystals. It looked more like a palace than station quarters, and sitting on an elegant chair in the center of the room was a woman. She was clearly the same species as the two girls from the market. Her skin was the same light purple, but she had more elaborate glowing markings that swirled across her face and arms. She wore flowing robes of deep blue and silver. Her eyes, a bright violet color, watched Marcus with intelligence and curiosity. "Engineer Marcus Chen," she said, her voice smooth and melodic. She stood gracefully. "Please come in." "Sit." Marcus walked forward slowly and sat in the chair she indicated. "I'm sorry, I don't understand. Why am I here? Have I done something wrong?" The woman smiled, and it was warm and genuine. "Wrong? No, dear human. Quite the opposite. I am Lady Thesia. I believe you met my daughters 3 days ago in the market district." Understanding dawned on Marcus. "The two girls, they're yours?" "Yes, Lyria and Syra, my precious twins." Thesia sat across from him, her posture relaxed but regal. "They told me what happened, how that Krolvian youth was threatening them, demanding their credits, how everyone walked past, and how you, a complete stranger of a different species, stepped in to protect them." Marcus shrugged uncomfortably. Anyone would have done the same. "No," Thesia said firmly. "That is where you are wrong. In my experience, very few would have done what you did, especially not for children of another species. Most beings on this station follow the rule of non-interference. It is safer, politically simpler. But you did not think of politics or safety. You saw children in danger and acted." "They were scared kids," Marcus said simply. "I couldn't just walk away. I have a daughter of my own. I'd hope someone would help her if she was in trouble." Thesia's expression softened. "Yes, my guards informed me you have a child. A daughter named Emma, 7 years old. You raise her alone after losing your mate 2 years ago. I am sorry for your loss." Marcus felt a familiar ache in his chest. "Thank you. It's been hard, but we manage." "I understand more than you know," Thesia said quietly. "I too lost my mate. I raised Lyria and Syra alone. It is the hardest thing I have ever done, and I have done many hard things." They sat in silence for a moment, two single parents from different worlds, sharing a common grief. Thesia broke the silence. "I asked you here to thank you properly. Words feel insufficient for what you did. You risked yourself for my daughters without knowing who they were, what they meant. That is rare and precious." "Really, it's okay," Marcus said. "I'm just glad they're safe." "I would like to invite you and your daughter to dinner with my family," Thesia said. "Tomorrow evening, if you are available. The girls have not stopped talking about the kind human who saved them. I think they would very much like to see you again and meet Emma." Marcus hesitated. This felt formal and important in a way he did not fully understand. But Thesia's smile was genuine, and he thought about Emma. His daughter could use more friends on the station. "Sure," he said finally. "We'd like that." Thesia's smile widened. "Wonderful. Shall we say 7 o'clock tomorrow? I will send transport." The next evening, Marcus and Emma arrived at the same suite, both dressed in their best clothes. Emma was excited and nervous. When the door opened, 2 purple blurs rushed forward. "You came! You came!" Lyria and Syra shouted, grabbing Emma's hands. Within seconds, the 3 girls were talking and laughing like old friends. Dinner was strange and wonderful. The food was a mix of human and Valanthi cuisine. The girls played in a corner of the large room while the adults talked. Marcus found himself relaxing. Thesia was easy to talk to, intelligent and funny. She asked him many questions about Earth, about human families, about why he had chosen to live on such a remote station. "After Sarah died, everything on Earth reminded me of her," Marcus explained. "I needed a fresh start. Somewhere Emma and I could heal." Thesia nodded with understanding. My mate died in battle 5 years ago. Sometimes I still expect to see him when I wake. The pain becomes quieter, but it never truly leaves. No, Marcus agreed. It doesn't. They talked about their children, about the challenges of single parenthood. Marcus noticed that Thessia had many guards stationed outside the suite, but he figured she was probably some kind of high-ranking diplomat or noble. The station had many important people passing through. As the evening ended and Marcus prepared to leave, Thessia touched his arm gently. "Thank you for coming. This has been the most pleasant evening I have had in a very long time. Might we do this again?" Marcus smiled. "I'd like that. Emma seems to have made some good friends." In the corner, Emma was hugging Lyria and Syra goodbye, all three girls promising to play together soon. On the way home, Emma chattered excitedly about her new friends. "Daddy, Lyria showed me her toy collection and Syra taught me a game from their planet, and they said their mom has a really, really big ship, like the biggest one on the whole station." Marcus laughed. "They probably meant big for a diplomatic vessel. Rich people like to brag, kiddo." "Can we see them again soon?" "Yeah, I think we will," Marcus said, ruffling her hair. He did not notice the guards that followed them home at a distance. He did not see the way other aliens in the corridors bowed quickly when they saw him walking with Emma. He did not know that his name was already being discussed in the highest levels of station security and beyond. All Marcus knew was that he had made a friend, and Emma had made friends too. And for a lonely single father on a distant space station, that was enough. Over the next 3 weeks, Marcus and Emma saw Thessia and her daughters almost every other day. Sometimes they met for meals. Sometimes the children just played together while the adults talked. Marcus found himself looking forward to these meetings more than he wanted to admit. Thessia was unlike anyone he had ever met. She was elegant and intelligent, but also warm and kind. She listened when he talked about his work, asked thoughtful questions, and seemed genuinely interested in his life. And she understood the weight of single parenthood in a way few others did. But Marcus was starting to notice strange things. The first odd thing was the security. Every time they met, there were at least a dozen armored guards around Thessia. When Marcus asked about it, she smiled and said, "My position requires certain precautions." He accepted that answer. Important diplomats needed protection. The second odd thing was how people reacted to Thessia. Whenever they walked through the station together, aliens of every species would stop and bow. Some even dropped to their knees. Marcus found it excessive, but again he figured it was cultural respect for high-ranking officials. The third odd thing happened in week 2. They were taking the children to the station's observation deck when they reached a security checkpoint. The guard saw Thessia and immediately opened a restricted door Marcus did not even know existed. "My lady, please, use the royal corridor," the guard said, bowing so low his head nearly touched the floor. Royal corridor, Marcus wondered, but said nothing. Emma noticed things too. One day she came home from playing with Lyria and Syra and announced, "Daddy, did you know their mom has a whole floor of the station just for her, and she has like 100 guards, and everyone calls her Your Majesty?" Marcus laughed. Your Majesty is probably just a polite title, like calling someone sir or ma'am in their culture. But that night, after Emma was asleep, Marcus could not shake his curiosity. He sat down at his computer and started searching. He typed in Valanthe and diplomatic visitors and Station Kepler 7. The search results made his blood run cold. The top article was from the station newsfeed, dated 3 weeks ago. Valanthe Queen arrives for trade negotiations. There was a picture. It was Thessia, wearing even more elaborate robes, surrounded by hundreds of guards and officials. Queen. Marcus clicked through more articles, his hands shaking slightly. The Valanthe Empire. 47 star systems. One of the most powerful civilizations in known space. And Thesia was not just any noble. She was the absolute ruler of all of it, which meant Lyria and Syra were not just daughters. They were crown princesses, heirs to an interstellar empire. And Marcus had casually chatted with their mother over dinner like she was a normal person. Marcus put his head in his hands. "What have I gotten myself into?" he muttered. The next day, he could barely focus at work. His mind kept spinning. Should he say something to Thesia? Should he stop seeing them? Would it be rude to suddenly pull back? And why had she not told him who she really was? That evening, Thesia invited them to dinner again. Marcus almost declined, but Emma was so excited he could not bring himself to disappoint her. At dinner, Marcus was quiet. Thesia noticed immediately. "Is something wrong, Marcus?" she asked after the children ran off to play. Marcus took a deep breath. "Why didn't you tell me who you really are?" Thesia's expression became guarded. "What do you mean?" "I looked you up. You're not just some diplomat or noble. You're the queen, the ruler of the entire Valanthe Empire, and I've been treating you like a regular person." Thesia was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled sadly. "That is exactly why I did not tell you. I don't understand." "Marcus, do you know how people treat me when they know who I am?" Thesia asked. "They bow and scrape. They measure every word. They see my crown, my power, my position. They see everything except me. But you, from the first moment, you treated me as just another mother, just Thesia. Do you know how rare that is? How precious?" Marcus felt his anger fading. "I guess I can understand that, but I was going to tell you," Thesia interrupted gently. "Soon. I just wanted a few weeks of being normal, of having a friend who saw me as a person, not a title. Was that so wrong?" Marcus sighed. No, I guess not. But this changes things." "Why?" Thesia asked, leaning forward. "Why does it change anything? We are still the same people we were yesterday. I am still a single mother trying to raise 2 daughters. You are still a kind man who protected children without asking for anything in return. Those truths do not change because you know my title now." "I'm just a regular guy," Marcus said. "An engineer. I don't belong in the same room as a queen." "You belong wherever you choose to be," Thesia said firmly. "And I would very much like you to choose to still be my friend." Before Marcus could answer, Emma's voice rang out from across the room. "Daddy, Lyria says their mom has to go home soon and pick a new husband. Isn't that weird?" Marcus and Thesia both froze. Lyria and Syra suddenly looked embarrassed. Thesia closed her eyes briefly, and Marcus could see tension in her shoulders. "Girls, that is not appropriate conversation for—" Thesia started. "What do they mean?" Marcus asked quietly. Thesia sighed. "There is a summit, on my homeworld, in 2 weeks. It is a gathering of the noble houses and allied civilizations. And yes, there is pressure for me to choose a new consort. The council believes the empire needs a strong royal couple." "Do you want to?" Marcus asked, surprising himself with the question. "No," Thesia said simply. "But what I want and what is expected of me are often different things. This is the burden of the crown." An awkward silence fell between them. Finally, Thesia spoke again. "I have a proposal. Come with me, you and Emma, to the summit, as honored guests. The girls would love to show Emma their homeworld. And I would appreciate having friends there. Real friends, not political allies." "Me? At a royal summit?" Marcus laughed. "I don't think that's a good idea." "Please," Thesia said, and her voice was sincere. "It would mean a great deal to me, and to my daughters. You saved them, Marcus. In my culture, that creates a bond. You would be welcomed." Marcus looked at Emma, who was playing happily with Lyria and Syra. His daughter had been so much happier these past weeks, so much more like her old self before Sarah died. "Let me think about it," he said finally. That night, Marcus lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling. His life had been simple just a month ago. Now he was friends with an alien queen, and she was inviting him to another planet. It was crazy, but Emma was happy. And if Marcus was honest with himself, he was happy too. For the first time since Sarah died, he felt like he was living instead of just surviving. The next morning, he sent a message to Thessia. "We'll come." The royal council chamber was exactly as impressive and intimidating as Marcus expected. 40 noble houses represented, each with their own agenda. High Chancellor Vorin stood at the center, looking exhausted. Marcus had been excused from the initial discussions, which had apparently gone on for 6 hours. Now, late at night, Thessia came to his quarters. She looked tired. "I am sorry," she said immediately. "I never meant for you to be put in this position. The girls should not have spoken out like that." "They're kids," Marcus said. "Kids say what they feel. Are you angry at them?" "No," Thessia admitted. "How can I be angry when they only want someone who has shown them kindness?" She sat down heavily. "The council is divided. Half think the idea of a human consort is an abomination. The other half see political advantage in an alliance with humanity." "And what do you think?" Marcus asked. Thessia looked at him for a long moment. "I think I am tired of being told what to do. I think I am tired of being treated like a prize to be won. And I think these past weeks with you have been the happiest I have been in years." Marcus felt his breath catch. "Thessia, but I cannot ask this of you," she continued. "You did not sign up for this. You just wanted to protect 2 scared children. You do not deserve to be dragged into imperial politics." "What if I wanted to be dragged in?" Marcus asked quietly. Thessia looked at him in surprise. "What?" Marcus stood and walked to the window, looking out at the glowing city. "I've been thinking about this all day, about what those other suitors were doing, fighting, showing off, proving how strong and rich they are. And I realized something. That's not what matters. Not really." He turned back to Thessia. "When Sarah died, I thought I'd never feel anything again except pain. These past 2 years have been about survival, about just getting through each day for Emma's sake. But then I met you, and I started feeling alive again. I looked forward to our dinners. I enjoyed our conversations. You made me remember what it felt like to connect with someone." "Marcus," Thessia said softly, standing. "I'm not strong like those warriors," Marcus continued. "I'm not rich. My genetics are just regular human. But I know how to be a partner. I know how to be a father. And I think I could make you happy if you gave me the chance." Thessia crossed the room to stand in front of him. "You already make me happy. But is it fair to ask you to give up your life? To take on the burden of the crown? To deal with politics and traditions and nobles who will hate you simply for being different? Is it fair to ask you to marry someone you don't even like just because tradition says so?" Marcus countered. Thessia smiled, and there were tears in her eyes. "No, it is not fair at all." They stood close, looking at each other. The moment stretched between them, full of possibility and fear. "I need to talk to Emma," Marcus said finally. "This affects her too. I can't make this decision alone." "Of course," Thessia agreed. "You are a good father." Marcus found Emma in the girls' playroom with Lyria and Sierra. The 3 of them were building something with colorful blocks. When Emma saw him, she ran over. "Daddy, did you hear? Everyone's talking about you becoming a prince. It's so cool." Marcus knelt down to her level. "Emma, sweetheart, we need to talk about that. If I did this, if I married Thessia, our whole life would change. We'd live here, on this planet. You'd be a princess. Everything would be different. That's a big change. How do you feel about that?" Emma thought for a moment, her face serious. "Would we be a family? Like, all of us together?" "Yes, we'd be a family. And Lyria and Syra would be my sisters." "They would." Emma looked back at the two girls who were watching nervously. Then she looked at Marcus. "Daddy, I love Lyria and Syra. They're my best friends. And I think Miss Thessia is really nice. And you smile when you're with her, like you used to smile with Mommy." Marcus felt tears in his eyes. "You're okay with this?" Emma hugged him tight. "I want you to be happy, Daddy. You're always worried about me being happy, but I want you to be happy too. And if Miss Thessia makes you happy, then yes. I'm okay with it." Marcus held his daughter close, overwhelmed by her wisdom and love. The next morning, the council reconvened. This time, Marcus was present. High Chancellor Vorin addressed the assembly. "The question before us is unprecedented. Can a human, an outsider, be considered as a candidate for royal consort under the ancient law of worth through action?" An elderly female, the same one who had spoken in the arena, stood. "I am Lady Nethys, keeper of the old laws. I have studied the texts. The law is clear. Any individual who demonstrates exceptional worth through selfless action may be considered worthy of royal partnership, regardless of origin. This law was created to prevent the crown from being limited only to those of noble birth. It was meant to recognize true character over bloodline. But a human has never," a noble protested. "The law does not specify species," Lady Nethys interrupted. "It says any individual. By the letter of the law, Marcus Chen is eligible." The council erupted in argument. Finally, Thessia stood. The room fell silent immediately. "Enough," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "I have listened to your debates. I have heard your concerns and your political calculations. Now you will hear my decision." She turned to look at Marcus. "Marcus Chen acted when everyone else walked away. He protected my children not because of who they were, but because they needed help. He has shown me kindness, respect, and genuine friendship. He has treated me not as a queen, but as a person, as a mother, as a woman." She stepped down from her throne and walked to stand beside Marcus. "The trials you arranged were about strength and wealth, but I have learned from humans that the greatest strength is compassion. The greatest wealth is love. Marcus has both in abundance." "Your Majesty," Vorin said carefully. "Are you saying—" "I am saying that I choose Marcus Chen," Thessia declared. "Not because the law allows it, not because it would create a political alliance. I choose him because he has proven himself where it truly matters, in his heart, in his actions, in his care for others." She took Marcus's hand. "If he will have me." Marcus squeezed her hand and smiled. "I will." The council chamber exploded in mixed reactions. Some nobles cheered. Others protested loudly. Vorin looked shocked, but not entirely displeased. And in the gallery above, Emma, Lyria, and Syra were jumping up and down with joy. "This is highly irregular," one of the conservative nobles said. "Then let it be irregular," Thessia replied. "I am queen. This is my choice. Does anyone wish to formally challenge it?" No one spoke. Whatever their feelings, no one dared directly oppose their queen. Over the following months, things slowly changed. Marcus and Thessia married in a ceremony that blended human and Valanthi traditions. Emma officially became a princess, though she insisted on still going to regular school. Marcus continued his engineering work, but now he also served as a cultural ambassador between humans and Valanthi. The conservative nobles eventually accepted the situation, especially when they saw how happy the royal family was. Lyria and Syra blossomed with Marcus as their father figure. Emma thrived with two new sisters. But the most significant change was in how the Valanthi viewed humans. Before Marcus, humans were seen as interesting but lesser beings. Now they were seen as potential equals. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges began. And all because one human had stopped to help two scared children. One evening, a year after the wedding, Marcus and Thessia stood on the palace balcony, watching Emma, Lyria, and Sira play in the gardens below. The three girls were laughing, completely carefree. "Do you regret it?" Thessia asked. "Giving up your simple life?" Marcus thought about it. The politics were sometimes frustrating. The ceremonies were boring. The nobles could be insufferable. But when he looked at his expanded family, at Emma's happiness, at Thessia beside him, he knew the answer. "Not for a second," he said. Thessia leaned against him, and they watched their daughters play until the three moons rose over the purple ocean, painting everything in silver light. Somewhere in the galaxy, there were still problems to solve, politics to navigate, and challenges to face. But here, in this moment, there was just family, and that was enough. Because sometimes the most human thing in the universe, simple kindness, can change everything.